What's up, everyone? This is DYANAROZAY. Welcome to my channel. You saw the thumbnail, so you know exactly why you're here. I bring a unique commentary to your favorite reality TV shows and whatever is popping on social media. This is a review for Love and Marriage Huntsville, episode 12. And yeah, y'all gonna want to stick around for this one, okay? Go ahead, hit the like, subscribe, and your notification bell because that's how others find me. Also, follow me on IG at DYANAROZAY. Follow me on Facebook at DYANAROZAY Real Talk. That is a private group, so you'll have to answer a few questions. And thank you guys for rocking with me. So the scene picks up exactly where it left off with Stormy, her mother, and her auntie, okay? Her mother and her auntie have a long history of bad blood. So it doesn't take much for the two of them to go after each other. It just so happens this time they are at war over their very grown children, who, by the way, don't have a problem with each other. In confessional, Stormy said that her and her cousin are just fine, despite the fact that she gave him a whole pink slip during a recession. But she also said that she wished she would have never gotten her mama and her auntie together because they always act a fool. But Stormy went outside to talk to her auntie, and her auntie said, listen, I am willing to cut things off with everything attached to your mama, including you, your son, and your husband. And while she's saying that, Stormy's mama is coming down the driveway to approach both of them. Lisa turns around, sees her, and she heads the other way. Then Stormy tried to plead with her mom, and she said, is there any way you can just hug her? To which her mama responded, how in the am I supposed to hug anybody who's walking away? And that's how that scene ends. Next, we have Martell Holt. The scene opens with him in confessional, and you can tell that the producers were asking him why he was in therapy. And child, when I tell you that his facial expression tells you he's about to tell a lie before the words even comes out of his mouth. But he answered it was because of Melody. He said when they were going through what they were going through, she put the kids in therapy, and then the judge thought that the father should be in therapy too. The funny thing about this entire scene is that he actually looked uncomfortable saying it, like he knew it was a lie. Then the scene cuts to Martell entering the therapist's office, and it's the same exact therapist that Melody saw last year when she was talking about self-healing and not letting others speak shit over her and do things to her without her striking back. But when Martell sits on the couch, he actually thanks the doctor for staying late. And they have a little back and forth where you can tell Martell almost didn't make it to that appointment. The doctor says, well, I know you like to ride the wave. And Martell stops her and said, not tonight, I didn't. You should have seen me. I lost it. Like my babysitter flaked out on me. I tried to get my mom to watch the kids. She didn't want to do it. Then he said that he doesn't understand why his mother won't watch the children or do what he says, basically. Now, I told you guys a couple of times before that Martell's mom acts really agreeable sometimes, but agreeable when he's at his worst, like, oh, you're a good son, or, you know, if he goes off on somebody, she'll just sit quiet and then try to smile and ease things, as opposed to saying, hey, Martell, calm your ass down. I also said that I got the impression that his mother is afraid of him, or at the very minimum, afraid that he's going to take things from her, like money or support or whatever it is. And even though this scene was edited to death, they basically discussed just that. Martell said that he gives his mother certain things, and in return, he expects her to do what he tells her to do. Him and his mama have a conditional relationship, and the doctor told him it was unhealthy, and Martell agreed. They also talked a little bit about his father, who we did meet, I believe, first season. He said that his father still lives in Huntsville, but where he is, he doesn't know. Then we find out that he has a younger brother by the name of Martez. He's 5 years younger, and it sounds like Martell and him have the same mother, but not the same father. He also said that him and Martez live very different lives and suggested that Martez may be more in the streets or more in trouble than Martell gets into. Now, again, y'all, this scene is heavily edited, but you can tell the doctor is trying to find out if Martell takes responsibility for his actions or if he blames his mother and father. He said, I would never blame my mother and father for who I am, but we all know he has a very hard time taking responsibility for the things that went down between him and his ex. But let's get into the next scene. So Maurice has planned a date night for Kimmy and Scott 2.0. They're doing a sip and paint where they are putting the artwork on drinking glasses. Tisha and Marceau arrive late, which gives Maurice and Kimmy just enough time to talk about Monster. Maurice starts it off by being his typical misogynistic self. He tells Kimmy that doing dishes is her job. And Kimmy said, listen, your son could stand to see you watch a damn dish or two. Maurice looks confused and Kimmy tells him, I'm tired of being the heavy, to which he's in awe, like, are you serious, Kimmy? Are you serious? And that's when Tisha and Marceau arrive. Now, even though they walk in together, they still look very, very separate. Now, based on how Marceau is dressed, you get the impression that it's cold outside. But baby, Tisha got on this silk black shirt and this silk black pant to paint with no coat, no hat, no gloves. You get the impression that she wants people to see what she's working with, just like she did at that job site. She's giving off the air that her and Marceau are going through some things, and Marceau said as much in confessional. He said him and Tisha need this damn date night because tensions are high with everything they got going on. And baby, Kimmy didn't miss that outfit either. She gave Tisha a good up and down. But they sit down and then they ask, what are you guys talking about? Marie said, punishing Monster. Kimmy doesn't feel at liberty to do it. And Kimmy says with the most exasperated tone in her voice, I just want to paint my cup. When Kimmy told Melody that she has no room for stress outside of her house because she's dealing with Maurice and Monster, this is exactly what she meant. Then Kimmy said that Monster failed to do something at home and the punishment was to go outside and rake the leaves. But when she told him to do it, he said, what are you telling me for? And kept on moving, okay? Then she told Maurice about it so that he could enforce it, and Maurice did nothing. So that means that Maurice is teaching Monster not to respect Kimmy or any woman that he might partner with. He wants him to be a misogynistic turd like himself. But then he gaslights Kimmy and says, well, whenever you tell him to do something, he should. You could tell him to wash dishes at 2 a.m. and he should get up and do it. Then Kimmy cocks her head to the side and gives him a look and literally says, don't play dumb with me. In confessional, Maurice tells Kimmy, you shouldn't tiptoe around Monster's feelings. She said, why not? I tiptoe around yours. And again, Maurice completely plays in her face and says, well, you shouldn't. Now, Tisha and Marceau try to give them some, advice. Tisha tells Kimmy that you and Kiowa should really work on co-parenting. And Marceau tells his brother, you really don't respect Kimmy's voice and you don't back her because the last time you guys were supposed to meet with Kiowa, you got up from the table and went to a business meeting. And Kimmy was growing more frustrated as the minutes passed. You can actually see it written all over her face. And then Tisha said, well, this is supposed to be date night, so we don't want to upset you guys, but it was really too late. And that's how the scene ends. Next, we get Martel and his brother Montez. That is how it's pronounced, Montez. Martel said that his therapist gave him homework to reevaluate his relationships and see how they fit in his life moving forward. And for whatever reason, he brings his brother over saying that he wants to keep him on the right track, but that's not really the assignment. Martel described his brother as being recently paroled, recently married, and then also just starting a new job with FedEx. And on the day it was filming, he said that he starts driving the next day. And for the record, Martel and Montez don't look alike for real, for real. Montez has a head full of hair. Well, I'm not really for sure because whoever did this man's hair, they sprayed so much black paint on his hairline. Y'all know how they give that stencil look with the white like markers around it, but it was sprayed like midnight black, like crayon in a box black. It was so artificial. But the two of them start talking a little bit about their upbringing and said if their father was in their life, that things could be a lot worse for both of them. Then Montez asked how things were going with Melody because he hadn't seen her in a while. And he asked Martel if he planned to go into the studio, I guess as a rebuttal to Melody's diss track. That led to Martel giving his little brother marital advice. And then he also invited him to the Black Expo. He even said, do you have a suit? Because you're going to need to dress up. So that's how it ends. Now we go back to Maurice and Kimmy. Maurice has invited his ex-wife, Kiowa, to discuss how to discipline Monster, what it should look like, and who should do it. Now, this scene was a whopper. Monster was really nervous. Maurice was staring at Kiowa a little too hard. And Kimmy was real put off. Now, it opens with Monster opening the door for his mother, and they hug. And you can tell it was like a real hug, like he was happy to see her. However, you don't know if Monster closes the door and locks it behind his mother. He comes in before her and sits on the couch. He doesn't offer to take her coat, and she doesn't stop him and say, "Can you put this away for me?" Then Kimmy awkwardly says, "Hi, how you doing?" And Kai says, "Fine," and says, "How are you?" Kimmy repeats, "Hi, how you doing?" which shows that she's nervous. Now, y'all know that's not typical for Kimmy. She acknowledges her error and she stands up to hug her. Then Kiowa hands her her coat to put away, which to me took a little bit of Kimmy's power. This whole thing is about how she's serving these grown ass men in her house. She's serving Monster, she's serving Maurice, and now she's serving Maurice's ex. Maurice never got his ass off the couch, by the way. He sits there like he's the king of the cuckoo's nest. Then Maurice starts the discussion. He said, "Did Monster tell you about boot camp? Like he wants to be patted on the back?" Kiowa said, "No. What is it?" He said, "Well, we get up at 5 a.m. Then you could tell that it was a long, drawn out description on Maurice's part that basically ended with Kiowa saying, "Well, according to Kimmy, you're going to have to do something else because he's still not getting done the things he's supposed to." Then Maurice starts getting agitated, so he takes it out on Monster and starts saying things like, "What is that facial expression? It doesn't look receptive." And to be honest, you can tell that he's picking at him right now because if he would have put that same energy into saying, "Hey, get out there and rake the leaves," you wouldn't have to have this adult group meeting. So Kiowa tells her son, "Why don't you and I have dinner and talk about your grades?" and basically excuses him. Then she told Maurice that she didn't want her son to feel like the three of them were ganging up on him. Kiowa said that there might be some other things involved in his behavior, like possibly he misses his mother, to which Maurice responded, "Maybe he does, because you babied him." And now you can see as clear as day that Maurice is setting up every excuse he possibly can in case his son doesn't become who he thinks he should become. That's when Kimmy drops the dime and said, "Listen, you barely spend time with this boy, okay? He is in his room the majority of the time with the door closed, and he is a very sensitive kid who likes to be held, touched, and he needs quality time with you, not the lecture that you give him going to and from school." Then Kiowa says, "Is it okay if I come around more? Because I can tell that he has things going on in his head that he's not sharing with you." And Maurice, who had already dusted off the shelf for that Father of the Year award, was left looking stupid. And that's how the scene ends. Next, we have Stormy and Courtney. They're taking a nighttime drive and they are talking about the family drama, firing Junior, of course, and the fallout between Betty and Lisa. Courtney just basically breaks it down and said that Betty is possessive over Stormy in all of her relationships. It doesn't matter if it's family or friends. Then Stormy gets a little bit emotional, and that's how the scene ends. And the last scene is Kiowa and Monster. Kiowa asks Monster how he's dealing with things emotionally, and he basically says he deals with it by himself. He figures it out by himself. His mother said, "I don't like to hear that, and you need to talk to someone so that they can help you work it out." And then at home, they show Kimmy and Marie saying that they should enter family therapy in order to make sure that this kid is healthy and adjusted, because clearly he misses his mother, and clearly Maurice coming at this kid with tough love is not helping him. That's not who he is. That's not his personality. And it is, going to be destructive for him later. So now Melody Cherie was not in this episode. And this is the first time out of 6 seasons that we didn't get to see the star of the show actually make an appearance. But you guys, let me know what y'all think about that in the comments, okay? Like the video, subscribe to my channel, hit your notification bell, and I will check you all on the next one.